Just get going. We'll cuck it in. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Mile High Sports. I'm Shawn Drotar. This, of course, is Zach Mikash from the Denver Stiffs. We are out here at number 38 in Rhino, 35th and Chestnut. Busy night, beautiful night.
Packed.
The Nuggets and the Avalanche, Game 7. For the first time since the NBA went to 7-game series in its first round. This is only the second time in history one city has had both teams playing simultaneously. So not necessarily great for the fans, but maybe good for the Nuggets and Avs, who have now played in this opening series 2 separate Saturdays, and they've each won both. For the Nuggets, back at home, Zach, what in particular do they need to focus on in order to take this game in this series?
Well, it's just about execution right now in the biggest moments. So you're going to turn to your biggest player. It's going to be Nikola Jokic, steady diet, feed him in the post consistently, and then you're going to look for Jamal Murray, right? He's got to step up. We've seen him step up in big moments. Had a huge Game 5, not as big in Game 6. Looking for him to come out, have that killer mentality, and have a big game here in Game 7.
Yeah, I think that to start off with Jokic being very aggressive, right? I think if Jokic doesn't have 20 plus, nearly 25 shot attempts, that's not going to give the Nuggets what they want. They need to bring the defensive attention to Jokic so then he can hit open shots for other guys like Jamal Murray. So Jokic himself, especially in the early going, it feels like in a Game 7 where they're going to allow more physicality more than likely.
Yeah.
Jokic is the biggest guy out there. Take it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Game 6 was any indicator, and we saw David Edelman say that after the game, he said, this is how they're going to let us play, then I'm looking forward to Game 7. So I expect the Nuggets to try and be physical with the Clippers. I expect them to try and get them off the ball. And then who's going to be that third guy? Who's going to step up? Is it going to be Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook off the bench?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be that third guy who comes in and puts them over the top?
For the Clippers last game, Norman Powell really showed. We were waiting for him to kind of make his appearance. Powell obviously is a really talented scorer, and if Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are likely going to do what they do, we're talking about guys with immense amounts of experience. What do they have to do to make sure that either Zubac or Powell doesn't do that same thing for the Clippers, give them that extra scoring that then makes it difficult for the Nuggets to recover?
Right, yeah, and I throw Bogdanovic in that group.
Good point as well, right?
Those three guys. You're right. You know that Kawhi Leonard is an all-time player. James Harden, up and down, up and down. He was up in Game 6. So if you can get him on the downswing, I think that helps. And then you've got to be able to keep Zubac out of the lane. He's not going to shoot anything outside of 2 foot. He loves that little hook. See if you can, again, play physical. Push him outside of the lane. Get in Norman Powell's space on the three-point line. Don't allow him some open shots and keep them out of transition, which is the best way to keep them out of transition. Don't turn the ball over.
Ty Lue's a veteran coach. He's 4-0 in Game 7s in his career. Of course, this is David Edelman's first run as an NBA coach at all. You lean on your players because these are battle-tested players. These are guys that have won a championship. You trust them. How do you manage the fatigue and the minutes? Given the reality of this team having played big minutes from his starters, you know that you really can't count on anybody except Russell Westbrook to play big minutes coming off the bench. So how, if you're David Edelman, do you ride that correctly? If obviously the Nuggets have a lead and you can give Jokic a break, that's fine. But do you call what you're seeing, or do you trust in your guys to say, hey, big fella, or Jamal, like, how are you feeling? Are you good? Do we need to go longer?
Yeah, I think in Game 7s, right, the tendency is let's play them whatever we got to play them to secure the win.
No tomorrow, right?
Right, to survive for Game 1. But, you know, like you said, Russell Westbrook, he's been good off the bench. Peyton Watson looked pretty solid in Game 6, gave them some good minutes, including in the fourth quarter. Those guys got to give you 5-6 minutes. That's really all you're asking. You know,
where you don't bleed out any sort of, you don't lose 6 to 8 points.
Yeah, exactly. That opening of the second quarter, that opening of the fourth quarter. Can they keep you afloat? Get a little rest for Jokic, get a little rest for Jamal. That's what they're going to need to do. But at the end of the day, hey, if you got to play Jokic 45 minutes to get a win, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, and they're not going to complain about that either.
Right.
But the concern is they didn't complain about it last year, and we watched them fade in real time against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, we watched that lead drip away as the starters could barely move anymore. There is a concern that could happen again, and we have seen some signs that it could.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard 7-game series. This has been very even for most of the games, and even in the ones that weren't, you know, they were mentally taxing because you were either way up or way down. The Nuggets, look, they're going to have to find it in themselves to learn from last season, right? And if that's maybe an advantage for them, is that they've been here before. They know what happens. Hey, we can be up 20 in the first half. doesn't mean that we're going to win this series. I look to those vets. Like you said, this is a battle-tested team. I look to them to continue to bring that energy, especially coming out of the locker room in the second half. Try and close the game in the third. Don't mess around in the fourth.
Yeah, this has been obviously a heavyweight kind of slugfest series where each team is just throwing haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. The reward for whichever tired team comes out of this is 1 day break,
right?
And then the Thunder, who have been sitting for who knows how long. And for the Nuggets, that presents a separate set of problems. They can't afford to worry about that right now. They are at home. They have the opportunity to set the tone. How important is it? I know this Nuggets team is comfortable coming back when they have a deficit. I know they don't sweat it. I know they don't worry about it. At the same time, we know that expends more energy. So how critical is it for the Nuggets in this game to come out to a good start, try to have a first quarter lead, a first half lead, or if you're behind, have it by no more than half a dozen points?
Yeah, I mean, the stats this year have been very good for the Nuggets when they've led after the first quarter. They win, like 90% of those games. So you obviously want to get out to a big start. You've got your crowd, so you want to get them going, get them excited early on and build that momentum. That is the ideal scenario. But if it doesn't happen, like you said, you want to stay in striking distance, because it really does, I think, come down to who is going to step up in the third quarter and make sure that it doesn't get away from you then, and make sure that it going into the fourth, when Jokic takes that last rest, that you can stay within striking distance if you need to, and then go ahead and win it.
Michael Porter Jr., the last question here before we get to tip-off, obviously battling an injury that if we're at the regular season, he wouldn't be playing. He's had one game where he played through it really, really well. Some of the other, it showed some fatigue, some challenges. How will we know early in this game if Michael Porter Jr. has got enough in the tank to be able to help him despite the shoulder injury?
Yeah, I mean, you got to feed him the ball on the outside, right? Let's see him hit some shots, take some threes.
Set him up early.
Exactly.
Just to see how it feels.
And if it goes down, then you know it's going to be good. If not, listen, he can still be effective as a rebounder. He can still be effective close to the basket. Work inside. You've got a size advantage there. You need to use it with him, especially if his outside shot's not working.
Yeah, for the Denver Nuggets, obviously a statement game, and there is something on the line here. We know we want the season to advance. They'd love to see him win Game 7 and move on, and yes, that would be a very difficult challenge against the Thunder. But even if you go out in the second round, it's not the same as going out in the first round.
Right.
This is a team that moved on from their championship-winning head coach, that's moved on from their GM. We know that the situation with the cap is challenging. We know that there's not a lot of things to improve the team with, given the aprons, given the lack of draft picks. If the Nuggets don't get this done, is this maybe the end of an era?
There's going to be some changes. I would expect that. I would expect that this team is going to look real hard at that starting lineup, and I would be shocked if it's the same 5 guys next year that come out as the starters. So yeah, if they don't get it done, even if they don't get it done next round, and everybody would understand losing to the Thunder, but this team is, when you have the best player on earth, the expectation is championships, and anything less, then we're going to have to make some changes. It would be now 2 years in a row without a ring. The Nuggets have to take advantage of Jokic in his prime.
Yeah, and I think you want to still be realistic about the idea, because, you're not going to win a championship every year. Nobody ever does. And for the entire Nuggets history, it seemed like they would never even get to the finals, let alone win. They do have a championship. I do understand the expectations. Right. That's what fans do, right? You're greedy and you want more of them. And maybe that isn't in the cards this year, but what you want to see is that them come into this game, win this game, look like the team that won a ring a few years ago, go in and give the Thunder a really good fight in the second round. Whatever happens, happens, but then say, okay, we've made the changes with coaching and front office. We see how it can turn around. Seems like the opportunity to do that is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, if you don't get it done right here, right now, it's going to be a very hard look at this roster because you can't lose in the first round when you have Nikola Jokic. It's as simple as that. And when you've got guys like Jamal Murray, and you've got all this money that you're spending on him and Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., like, the expectation is you're going to win, and you're going to win a lot, not go out in the first round. So, the storyline will be very fascinating, win or lose. Here today. Yeah,
ignore the nonsense where people are telling you, like, this is going to be some statement on Nikola Jokic's career. I think he's having the best year of his career, and he's already won the MVP 3 times. This is less about Jokic and more about the team that's around him, especially on the bench, not the starting 5. But we'll find out tonight to see what they've got. The Nuggets are really going to run. It's the old Pat Riley style, right? We have 8, play 7, trust 6.
Right.
That's kind of where the Nuggets are with David Adelman. We're getting close to the tip-off right here. We're at number 38 in Rhino. The Kentucky Derby wrapped up. The Nuggets are starting. The Avalanche will start after that. We're looking forward to being here all night, enjoying all of these Game 7s. What a night for Colorado sports. He's Zach Mikash. from Denver Stiffs and denverstiffs.com. Make sure you check them out and check out the site. Of course, we're so proud to have that as part of the Mile High Sports family. Come on out and join us. The games are just getting started, but for all of us here at Mile High Sports, we'll let you get to the game. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We good, Danny? Okay. How we doing, number 38? Yeah. Well, here we are. We're at number 38. I'm Shawn Drotar with Mile High Sports. We have our friends here from Hockey Mountain High, from the Denver Stiffs, our family of specialized sites and covered from the fan. But we're here tonight for Game 7s. This sort of thing doesn't happen usually. The Nuggets are getting it going. The Avalanche are just a bit. Peyton is here. Peyton, I know we have some giveaways. We have some fun things to set up. What are you looking to do today?
Yeah, well, Nuggets just tipped off, so we're going to have a lot of giveaways for Nuggets, for Avs fans, so you have to be sure. You have to stick around at number 38, watch the entire game, hopefully in Nuggets, and then the Avs win. But we're going to have a bunch of giveaways, so be sure you stick around.
Yep, the QR code, you can give those a scan. You can see Peyton, she'll be around today. We'll be around as well. We'll let you get to the game. We're greedy. Fans are greedy, right? You don't want one win tonight. You want two. So how are we feeling, Nuggets fans? How are we feeling, Avalanche fans? Let's let them hear it. Let's have a good time and get to Game 7s right here with number 38 and your friends at Mile High Sports.
They can hear you, but I don't know.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mile High Sports. I'm Shawn Drotar. We are live at number 38 in Rhino, 35th and Chestnut, where our Mile High Sports studio is located. If you haven't had a chance to see it, a whole bunch of people have down here. There are more than 1,000 people down here today. We're talking about the Kentucky Derby, of course. That happened over in Kentucky. There's a couple things happening right here. Game 7 for the Avalanche and the Nuggets. The Nuggets just ended up tipping off, and we'll let you know what's going on there right now. 6-0 for the Clippers to a quick start. But we want to turn our attention to the Avalanche. Brennan Vogt of Hockey Mountain High is here. You've had an opportunity to come out and meet Brennan a couple times. So we're looking forward to this game, obviously. Just finished talking about the Nuggets a little bit with our friend Zach Mikash. And the idea that the Nuggets might still win the title, it's possible, but a whole bunch of things have to go right. They're probably not the best team available. The folks in Vegas have already let it know that whoever comes out of Game 7 tonight in Dallas, the Avs or the Stars will immediately be installed as the favorite out of the Western Conference. These are the two best teams in the West. And for the Avs, the path to the Stanley Cup is at least visible and navigable if they can get past this personal bugaboo in Dallas.
Well, I think we got the Western Conference final right off the bat.
You got the best two teams at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
we knew it wasn't Winnipeg. Told you about that the whole time. Connor Hellebuck's 7+ goals against on the road ain't going to get the job done.
Yeah, well, he's been getting pulled almost every game, it seems like. But playoff Hellebuck is just a different story right now. So
right.
If Mackenzie Blackwood can control his rebounds, I think they'll be good.
When you look at the way this has happened, I've looked at this pretty closely. I've gone over and watched a bunch of the games. And what I've noticed Dallas did in the middle of the series, and especially after Blackwood had that shutout, they have more or less, unless it's been a break or something really obvious, they've been aiming low. They're trying to aim low and make sure that Blackwood has to kick it out, right? So they're working on kickouts with the pads, which then is going to create a rebound.
Yep.
So Dallas's strategy is clearly to go low on Blackwood because they understand he's playing well and hopefully chase those rebounds. Dallas is excellent at that. If you're the Avs and you know that now, Obviously, you need to be conscientious on clearing out the puck in your own zone. But can the Avs make an adjustment for that, expecting in Game 7 there to be probably fewer calls? Hopefully. Less about that, the better. And with the way they can approach this game.
Well, so the thing is that the Avalanche should be adjusted to this type of play with Georgiev. And because Georgiev,
but that's the reason they traded him.
Oh yeah, exactly. But it shouldn't be that big of an adjustment because Georgiev came to Colorado, and that was his biggest downfall. Was he played a lot like
rebounds.
he played a lot like Henrik Lundqvist, who kicked out the puck a lot, and now Dallas is doing the same thing to Mackenzie Blackwood, but I think the problem is Colorado just hasn't played like that in so long with Blackwood and Wedgwood in the net lately, that the quick adjustment for him, and we know the Avs are not great at adjustments.
They're not. And one of the reasons that they added the 2 goaltenders they added specifically, I mean, Chris McFarland talked about it, Jared Bednar talked about it, was because these guys covered up. I mean, one of the main things he talked about in Blackwood in the first handful of games for the Avs gave him his long-term contract was how well and how consistently he covered up the puck. The Stars know that too. And so for the Avs, yes, they have to be aware of Dallas kind of flooding the net, but that's also what the Avs could do. And the thing that strikes me in this series, the Avs can outskate the Stars. The question is, can the Avs simplify and make sure they're not creating turnovers in the offensive zone? Obviously, you can't make them in the defensive zone, but the Avs have made way too many in the offensive zone, leading to goals, including in that in the Game 5 that they ended up losing. They get them away, and one of the goals to Rantanen was because of an offensive zone situation. They can't give it up in the offensive zone, which means you have to pass less. The Stars keep their sticks on the ice. They're looking to break that up. The Avs have won 2 games in this series because they have flooded the net. And as I talked about before, now we can add another game to it. Jake Ottinger's playoff career record when he has to make 35 or more saves is 3-6. Now, most goaltenders is going to be bad if you put 30 to make him save 35 shots. But Ottinger in particular, 3-6. To me, the formula for the Avalanche is easy. Don't work for the perfect shot, because even when we've seen them do that, Ottinger is a good enough goaltender to stop it. What you need to do is, pardon the pun, bury him under an avalanche of shots and expect that once in a while he's going to miss one and you can be there to clean it up.
Yeah, and if you watch the last game was a great example, the second line with Landy. He was throwing pucks on net with the purpose of a rebound, and he was doing it for Lehkonen and Nichushkin to take their advantage on the crash in the net.
Right.
And if the Avalanche can do that a lot more this game, they'll be great.
Yep.
And I think Landy's just gotten a lot more comfortable doing it, and he's gotten a lot more comfortable in getting used to the game flow. And you've seen his ice time go up every game.
Sure.
So the fact that he's seen the ice a lot better, and the last game was a perfect example of it, how he had, two assists in the last game. So he's shooting 4 rebounds. He's not shooting 4 goals. And Nichushkin, multi-game, it was a multi-goal game. So he was doing exactly what he needed to do. He crashed the net.
Yep. And
Lehkonen crashed the net. And so everybody needs to just crash the net.
Yeah.
I don't know how often you can say that, especially in the pros. You just sound like a broken record.
You're right.
The net.
And you've heard Jared Bednar actually try a couple different ways to say it to make sure that he's not kind of saying it over and over again in a million different ways. And for the Avs, this is part of the reason they got bigger and stronger, right?
Yes.
They're doing that whole built different thing and talking about bigger and stronger. Well, yeah, that's part of it. You added Brock Nelson. You added Charlie Coyle. You get Landeskog back. You're talking about guys like Jack Drury. These are guys that, even at their best, even the Nichushkins and Landeskogs of the world, they're not scoring from the blue line. That's not how they score. They get up close and personal, and you stick the knife in. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's how you get goals. You don't get the tic-tac-toe pretty stuff. It happens every once in a while, and maybe against another team that's not the Stars, maybe some of that for the Avs will work. But the understanding the Avs have to have is that won't work against the Stars.
No.
The Stars are built to beat this, and they're well coached. Pete DeBoer could set the NHL record for the best record all time in Game 7s. He's 8-0, tied with Daryl Sutter. He could jump to 9-0. Jared Bednar hasn't won one yet. Granted, the coaches don't get on the ice and skate, but the Avs have to understand, the players have to understand, Pete DeBoer does not make a lot of mistakes in Game 7s.
No.
You have to make sure you don't make any.
Oh, and then it also doesn't help the fact that Wes McCauley is refereeing.
I might have hinted at
that. Apparently, the Stars are 10-0-3.
That's correct. 10-0-3. I was about to look it up for you, but you had it.
Yeah, well, that's courtesy of my old colleague, Adrian Dater.
Yep.
But
you're not going to preemptively blame the Zebras. That's loser talk.
No,
but you have to be aware, and hopefully in this case too, look, you understand with Dallas, they do flop. They do embellish. Unfortunately, referees in the NHL, though they have a rule to call it, they just don't. It needs to happen, but you can't expect it to happen today. If you're the Avs, you can't get baited into that. Keep skating. You're not going to beat these guys, even though they out-hit them 46-19 in the last game. You're not going to beat the Stars by thumping them all game. You don't want to give them an opportunity to lean into the flopping and the embellishment, drawing penalties, because referees, in their defense, are human. And when home crowds go, with 13,000 people, your human reaction is that I missed something, and they blow a whistle.
Yeah.
So that's one of the huge disadvantages of being on the road. And the Avalanche can't play into it because Dallas, mark my words, will do it.
Yeah, and honestly, I would have to admit that Dallas has had the better crowd. They've been in it
more engaged. I think that's fair.
They're more engaged. They've been louder. They're more engaged, and they've been in it through the game compared to Colorado's crowd. Because there's been moments where I'm like, is this crowd even here with Colorado? So
it's felt to me like there's been a nervousness, in part because, look, this Avalanche team in the middle of the season completely overhauled their squad. No team that I could find in the previous 20 years had traded out both their goalies that they broke camp with as fast as the Avalanche did. We know about all the trades they made mid-season.
10 days.
So many of these moves that there's nowhere else to draw from. There's no more top prospects to deal. There's no more draft picks to give away. No. The Avs loaded up this team, and I will make the argument right now, this team to me is more talented than the one that won a cup a few seasons ago.
20.
Top to bottom. I think it's more talented. And so they're not all coming back.
No.
This is a one and done of this Avalanche team. And wow, I think the nervousness of, we know it's good enough to win the cup. Are they going to do it? I think for Avs fans, that's caused an awful lot of nervousnrichness and consternation.
Well, and you've got to keep in mind,
you're running into the team that keeps knocking you out.
Well, and you got to keep in mind, you gave up Cal Ritchie just to get Brock Nelson, and Brock Nelson may not re-sign next year. So what are you going to do?
If you're fans, we look at the Nuggets for the comparison, and fans were upset the Nuggets didn't take a big swing at the trade deadline. Yeah. Can't say that about the Avs. The Avs, for fans, gave you a championship caliber ready team. And they said whatever happens in the future happens.
Yeah.
But that means that the urgency for right now could not be higher.
Oh, and this team was built off 15 trades. There are only 2 homegrown players on this team right now, and that's 3.
3 with Landeskog back.
3 with Landeskog back. I'm so used to Landy not being back, but 3 with Landy back. So you got McKinnon, Kale, and Landy, and that's it.
That's it.
Those are the only 3 players that are on this team that were drafted and have come through the system and played their whole entire career with the Avalanche. Yeah. The rest have been trades or acquisitions in some manner. So the fact that the Avalanche are signing all these college free agents and things like that, people are complaining, and I've heard it from fans. I've talked to the Eagles GM, and he's like, "We got nothing left.
Yeah, you got to stock it.
Yeah, we've got nothing left. We have to sign these college free agents."
Yeah,
so
I'd coach them up. Hey, sometimes the college free agents are like DU goalie Matty Davis too.
Well, so, and he ended up going to San Jose,
right?
But I won't go there.
But I mean, my point would be is that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have some talent there.
Yeah.
But, we're out here at number 38 where we're getting ready for Game 7. And you talked about some of those players. Gabe Landeskog has 4 points in 4 games. He has been it's like no time has passed. There's really nothing you can say about that except it is overachieving in every conceivable way. Nathan MacKinnon has 6 goals in 6 games, not 6 points. Got more points than that. 6 goals. Cale Makar got a goal in this one. He got on the score sheet, but he has been one of the guys that I think, and it's a little unfair, and Nikola Jokic can look over and go, I get it. When you're really, really good, the expectation is you're supposed to be amazing and carry the team every time. It's been an underwhelming series for Makar, who cannot facilitate the way he's accustomed to because we talked about the way the Stars play D. But he seemed to make an adjustment in Game 6. What did he do differently, and how can he carry it into this game? First goal on 61 shots in this playoffs, but better late than never.
And there was something that came up in the last game that it was the first shift after Cale got off the ice.
Mm-hmm.
He took off his glove, and it's something that's been coming up regularly through the season, but his wrist was heavily taped.
Right.
And I think that he's going through it. It's some type of injury, and it's affecting him a lot more than usual.
So for hockey terms, that's a lower body injury? It's your wrist?
Technically, it's upper body.
Well, not if the coaches say it.
Yeah, well.
They're going to call it something else. But obviously dealing with some issues there.
And it's his and it's control. It's his control wrist because it's his upper hand. So it's going to be controlling his stick a lot more because the torque comes from your lower hand.
So how do you compensate? Do you pass it?
You have to control less.
Yeah, in other words, you have to move it to someone else faster.
Yeah, and the fact that he seems to be controlling the puck a lot less, and the wrist is explaining that.
Yeah.
And it's like I saw that and I was like, oh, well then there we go. That explains everything. And that doesn't explain the 61 shots, but that also can explain the lack of power.
Right, especially especially in a pass, which again plays right into what the Stars do. If you can't really put some heat on that, and if you put too much, of course, it's hard to control. So Makar's dealing with that. Not that anyone of the Stars has any sympathy. Of course, they've been out their best defenseman, Miro Heiskanen, for the whole series. They've been out their top scorer, Jason Robertson, for the whole series. Pete DeBoer made sure to point out he dropped the old Lou Holtz Notre Dame stuff. Nobody believed in us. Nobody thought we were going to win.
Oh God,
that's sort of. And it's funny. I get it. DeBoer's riling up his team, and he's trying to get them ready. At the same time, feels like maybe the Avs can make him use it as a built-in excuse why they don't advance if they can come out and do what they want to do. Because even with Makar scuffling a little bit, even without Ross Colton, the Avalanche are right now deeper and faster.
Well, and Ross Colton started skating today, but he's been declared out for the whole series, no matter what. It's just, and you can't. There's no excuses at this point. You've got to make it past this team, and the fact that DeBoer has been buttering up the officials and buttering up the crowd and things. Yeah, like that. I thought
he was interesting. I actually thought DeBoer this week was he's maybe going for an NBA gig. The way he was working the refs in between the games.
Yeah,
it's that style, and who knows. Avs fans, I would expect a couple calls to be really frustrating. I expect when we're out here at 38, there will be some significant boos at times about calls that may occur or calls that don't occur. If you're the Avs, we've seen Nathan MacKinnon when he gets up close be cross-checked 5-6 times in a row. A lot of extracurricular stuff on the Stars' part. You can't fix it. And the Avs need to know they can't really retaliate. But as a player, how do you put that out of your head and say, we're not worried about that. We're not worried about the stuff we can't control. We're just going to focus on the stuff we can.
Well, you just got to play. But it's doing those little things that I always did this. Do those little love taps behind the calves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get them where, or right above the Achilles as they're skating away. Just give one of those.
the Avs in this series, we talked about it, 46-19 at hits last game. Even though that game went sideways in the second period, and it was such an odd game anyway, 7-4, that I almost think you just kind of look at it and go, whatever, that's hockey, right? Yeah. That's the way it goes. But the Avs, for the first time in this series, did something that I haven't seen them do. They were the bullies. They were the bullies. They took it to the Stars, and the Stars clearly aren't used to being on the other side of that.
No, they're not.
And I think for the Avs, even though you're on the road, Go do the same thing. Let them know we don't care if we're in Dallas. We're going to do the same thing. We realized we can beat up on you a little bit, and we're going to do it.
And I think Manson's going to take advantage of that. You saw it in the game one, where Manson just laid out someone behind the net.
Right.
And Manson needs to do it again. I'm just afraid of what it's going to do to him physically and set him out for the rest of the playoffs. But because Manson can only take so much himself.
And he also only plays one way.
Right.
So there are other guys. Charlie Coyle can put a body on guys. Gabe Landeskog put Mikko Rantanen on his tail on the very first shift when he came back. There are guys that can do it, but you just need to make sure when there's an opportunity to put a body on a guy, you do it.
You got to do it the right way.
Right. And you can't draw a penalty. You can't make it too late after the whistle. You can't make it, after the pass. You've got to put a body on a guy when you have the angle, but you don't want to overcommit because then that lets the Stars skate around you, and then then you're really playing with fire.
Yeah, and the thing with Landy is like, okay, concentrate on the offense. Don't concentrate on the hits. I mean, I get it. You want to bring your physical game in, but I'm more concerned about this and the long term.
Yeah.
He's got, 4 more years left on his contract?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm concerned, are you going to be able to play with the knee for 4 more years after this? So,
well, Landeskog himself isn't worried about that. He's ready. He didn't fight back for 3 years to come here and lose in the first round.
You get my point. As a human,
right? You are concerned about it.
Yeah,
but these are the challenges. These are what you sign up for as a player. And I'm not suggesting you go out there and get hurt. You do have to watch your body because look, if they you don't want them to lose Landeskog or anybody. I mean, the Avs. If you're going to really go try to claim the Stanley Cup, win the Stanley Cup, you can't have pieces falling off the wagon.
No.
So you have to be smart. But you can't let Dallas knock you around. You've got to go ahead and flood Ottinger with shots. And you've got, I think, in this game especially, if you're the Avs, you have to find a way. You have to sell out and do what they did in the first period of the last game to get that first goal.
Yeah.
Quiet that crowd, put the Stars on their heels as quickly as you can do it.
And they've got to move that puck quickly.
Right.
And they've got to get it into the offense.
Yeah, there's no waiting around for an open guy. If you're waiting, the window's already closed.
Yeah, and then move it in the offensive zone, get it through the neutral zone quickly. And even Landeskog said that their neutral zone got sloppy come second period.
Yeah, it did.
And what do you know? The game started to fall apart during the second period. So I even wrote about it in our game recap. Mm-hmm. But it's something that you've got to keep tight, and you've got to move them out past the dots. So just keep it tight, move forward.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you got to think about. Literally, and I hate the pun, there's one goal.
Right.
You got to concentrate
and guess
on that.
What? The closer you get to it, the bigger it gets.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean, that's the way to think about it for the Avs. And I do know that it's been a challenge. I've talked about it this week. I've talked about it with you. For the Avalanche, this is a moment for them where they have to look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, the way we play against Dallas in Game 4 and Game 6 is not the way we love to play. It's not. And it's maybe not the way we instinctively play. But it is the way to beat Dallas. We know because we've done it this way, and we've beat them twice doing it.
Yeah.
But after the previous one, they went back to their old style of skating and passing and looking for fancy plays and a lot of cycling. I can't tell you how many times I'm exhausted of watching somebody take it down the left side, get about 2 strides from the back line, turn 180 degrees, and look for a drop pass. And if that's not there, look for the cross ice. If I know that's coming, the Stars know that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do it anymore. Get ugly, get greasy, simplify. Like you said, there really should be one message for the Avs. Crash the net. Everything else is secondary.
Crash the net, get past the hash marks. You got to get the puck past the hash marks. If you're not getting past the hash marks and you're like when you carry it in, you're not doing any good. Yeah,
you've got to get it deeper into the zone than just sitting out there, of course, because then turnovers in the offensive zone leads to breakaways the other side. We've seen Rantanen score on that. That's the way to kill your momentum. We're fortunate it didn't cost the Avs Game 6. But, here they are now in a situation where it is under their control. You'd rather be at home, but, hey, that's life. And there's been a lot of talk in this series from, coaches, from commentators about puck luck. And I look at that. And I get the hockey term. I understand it, but to my mind, it's very simple. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And I can't take credit for that. That's a Golf Hall of Famer Gary Player. But it's the reality, right? And especially in hockey, the harder you work to get shots on net, the luckier you will get. We saw the Avs get one that Mackenzie Blackwood stopped, and it went straight up, and it landed on his nameplate and rolled in. We saw the Avalanche get the game winner by a guy trying to clear it off his own guy, and it ricocheted.
Finally.
But these things only happen when you throw the puck on net and you work hard. You can't relax and assume you're going to make a pass and it's going to go top shelf. You can't assume that. And quite frankly, with the goaltenders at this level now that we're in the playoffs, that's not a gimme anyway. Those guys that aren't up for Vezinas, they're not in the playoffs anymore. They're out. They're fishing. The guys that are left are elite. And Anjur is one of those guys. So for the Avs, I don't care if you're shooting it right into the middle of the star logo on his chest. He still has to stop it. Make him beat you. And the Avalanche can do it. The Avalanche have done it. My worry for the Avalanche is, do you have the fortitude to do it again, play a game you don't want to play, but you know you can win?
And you got to rush the net when you're doing it. If someone's not following up,
that's
on
the
those
important part.
passes,
There's got to be someone there to follow up. You got to clean up the garbage. It's like an offensive rebound in basketball, right? Mm-hmm. It's great if a guy's out there with an open three, but you want to take that open three when someone's under there in case you miss it. Exactly. For hockey, it's basically the same idea.
Yeah, you got to. And it's not only someone else, but the shooter has to follow his pass or his shot. And if the shooter's not doing it, and if someone else is not doing it, two other guys aren't doing it, you're not going to get that puck in the net.
Yeah, we've seen Lehkonen get a goal off his own skates, in which he followed his own shots.
Nichushkin.
We've seen Nichushkin follow his own shots. That's what you've got to do. So you got to streamline. You've got to simplify. The Avs absolutely have the ability to do it because we know they can skate. They need to just worry about doing the simple things, right? And as we get closer to face-off here, your sense on that. Do you think this team is going to play loose, or do you think there is some understandable tightness? This is the team that bounced you last year. It's nerve-wracking. Are you nervous about it, or are you a team that's saying, nah, we're going to get out there and get revenge? We on top of that, we have guys like Val Nichushkin and Yoel Kiviranta who played for this team that the Dallas Stars side they didn't want anymore. I'm like, why don't you go get a measure of revenge here? Do you get the idea that's what's on the Avs' mind? Let's get dirty. Let's just start getting in there. If it's a heavyweight fight, get in there and throw body blows. Stop trying to worry about the fancy stuff. Or do you think they're looking for the big plays still?
Well,
which is what happens generally after they win.
Personally, I'm not nervous, but Savvy, our other writer, she texted me earlier this morning. She's like, I couldn't sleep this morning. Or I couldn't sleep last night. So, Savvy, it's okay. I'm just letting her know that.
It happens. You can sleep tonight after that they're all done here. For the Avalanche, obviously, in this game, a lot of things go right and a lot of things go wrong. If this game starts off really tight, so here would be my question. We know the Avs can skate and score. We know we've seen everything we've seen. Let's say this game is tight. Let's say it's 0-0 or 1-1 at the midway point of the second period. Who does that favor?
I think it favors the Avs.
If it stays close?
Yeah, because the Avs are used to tight games. They have the most comeback, the most comeback wins of any team in the whole league over the regular season. I think it was over 25. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's going to favor the Avs as long as they stay tight.
I mean, we're talking within a goal.
Yeah, as long as they stay tight and they don't loosen it up.
I would go as far to say that if at any point in this game the Avs are down by 2 goals, they're probably going home. Yeah. Because the Stars are a really good defensive team. They will go into a shell. You're not going to be able to see that comeback, barring something strange. So for the Avs, I'm with you. As long as you stay close, then you put the pressure on Dallas, who is the home team, who, despite what Peter DeBoer said, was the top seed. That's why they're at home. They were above the Avalanche. And it starts making them think a little bit in the Stars' case of who they're missing. Man, if we just had Heiskanen back here. If we could we're down a goal. If we could just have Robertson back. Those doubts creep in your head. and you can actually use the home crowd against the home team. And we've seen it happen. That's why out of the four major sports, if you look statistically in the playoffs, the sport that conveys the least advantage in a 7-game series is hockey.
Well, and honestly, it's like when the home crowd gets into the game in Dallas, they're into it.
Right.
And like we were saying earlier, I feel like the Colorado crowd just goes quiet.
Well, we'll worry about that if they get into another round for sure. And I think things would ramp up then a little bit. He has Brennan Vogt from Hockey Mountain High podcast. Check that out as well. But here we are. We're getting close to the face-off for the Avalanche. It's simple. Brennan hit it on the head. Crash the net. As I pointed out before, when you've made Jake Onger make 35 or more saves in this series, the Avs have won them. Jake Onger's 3-6. Formula's simple. Avalanche, bury him in the net. Go get the greasy, grimy, gritty goals. Get a lead. Take the game. For the Avalanche, you've made all the trades. You've filled out the roster. There's no more excuses. There's no more time. Prove who you are and get it done. Do you think they get it done tonight?
I think so, and especially if they don't have to involve Wes McCauley.
Well, yeah. Anything you can do to avoid that. I like their chances as well. As I said, sure, a lead would be big, but for the Avalanche, look, it's game 7. This is easy. Heavyweight fight. Last one standing wins. Who wants it more? We're down here at number 38. We will find out with you. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. For all of us here at Miley Sports, I'm Shawn Drotar. Let's go Avalanche.